I'd like to start by saying this week's chapter of Bleach was a very good chapter of Bleach. Secondly, I'd like to point out how the hell did Shunsui's eye recover? Nonetheless, let's get into the review. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shimagami X, aka Captain Capsnax, here today to review Bleach chapter 559 entitled The Night Riot. Okay, for a start, it's a very weird title, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Nonetheless, get into the review because that's what you're here for. Okay, I thought automatically one of the most interesting part, well, not interesting, one of the good parts of this chapter was literally from the very beginning. When you see Ikkaku and Shunsui and that lot all talking about how the night, the change of the time of day is how it's going to affect the battle, because you know how the Star Knights utilize shadows to their advantage. The fact of being night is basically a massive overcast of a shadow, more or less meaning that they'll be able to battle more effectively. And I'm glad that Kubo has pointed this out in his basically in this chapter, and that basically the Shin Megami have basically acknowledged this, because then that now means that we're going to get better battles essentially. So I'm glad that was pointed out. Secondly, moving on into like probably one of my favorite parts of the chapter, simply because it involves my two favorite characters. One, my favorite character overall, Shunsui Kyoraku, and my favorite Star Knight, Hashwords. Okay, so in this chapter we were basically teased about a fight that was going to happen between them two, which is my most anticipated battle. So yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm slightly annoyed about that, but nonetheless it's okay because it was done very, very well. Especially the part where we see like Nanao is she set up a second barrier as Hashworld basically disintegrated and absorbed the first and was going to destroy it. Hashworld was about to use a more violent method, and is obviously called by Juha. That did annoy me a little bit, so I was thinking, oh come on man, just break the thing down and you and Shunsui fight it out. But I did like what Shunsui said. He's like, okay, when you come back I have some tea and stuff ready for you. All he basically doesn't literally mean that, it's just Shunsui's way of saying that next time you come I'm going to be ready for you, so you know, you better be ready. And obviously they give each other that like kind of stare down. So second thing I'd like to go into is like basically how did Shunsui's eye recover, because as you know from the previous chapters, he still had the eye patch from where I can't remember this Quincy's name, but the elitists would call him Detroit Quincy, where he just shot him in the eye and basically blew his eye out. So I would have thought that he would have been blind in the eye for the rest of the series. Obviously not. I'm guessing while the barrier was up, Nanao must have healed him or some sort, like on some Orihime kind of type stuff, but nonetheless, moving on. Okay, I did also like how Juha called back Hashwords to judge Kangdu and BG9, and I thought it was quite fun to see how BG9 was freaking out and whatnot. But while Kangdu is there remaining calm, obviously because he knows what his powers are. Anyways, I'm not gonna basically narrate what the chapter said to you. I'm gonna give you my thoughts about it. I thought it was pretty cool how Kangdu was like, oh, I won't let you cut me because of what his powers are, and the only person I'm going to allow to cut me is Juha himself. And I did think it was kind of cold that you know, Juha said that, oh, because you guys lost I'm going to kill you, but then technically they didn't lose because they released their final holy forms which resuscitated them. And then on top of that, wasn't Toshiro and Soifon laid out? So while they're in the holy form they could have easily killed them and that would have been the end of that. But I did think it was interesting what Hashworld said in reply to that. It's like, okay, you're very lucky, and it's that same luck that will turn around to bite you. That's what he essentially said in a nutshell, is that basically Hashworld, we can see that he believes in balance. And now hold on with me here, because the Hashworld goes with balance, and basically for every good luck you receive you also receive bad luck at the same time. And I think Hashworld, the reason why Juha and Hashworld are going to execute them two is because in a sense they were lucky, because you know, for example, in the case of Kangdu, he didn't know that Toshiro's Bankai would be so powerful that it'd basically almost essentially kill him until he releases his final holy form. So yeah, in a sense that is a case of luck, and it's true. When you get lucky, obviously bad luck does follow. It's just a case of karma. So basically, if I do something bad to someone, something bad's gonna happen to me. If I get lucky, I might get bad luck in return. That's just the way it is. So he's talking about the scales of battle, and in a war, we know that luck can be a very important factor. Okay, all things well and granted. So that being the case now, obviously Hashworld doesn't want to win by a case of luck, neither does Juha. So he wants to win by a case of skill. So that being the case now, it does make sense of why they're going to execute Kangdu and BG9. It does make sense, but it's just pretty funny how BG9 is there freaking out while Kangdu is just there calm and chilled. And we see that Hashworld goes to slash him, And obviously Kenryu's like, no, you can't cut me because of my abilities, and the only person I'm allowed to cut me is His Majesty Juha. Fair enough. Then we see these scales appear over over Hashwald's head, and now here's what I was talking about balance or not, because we all know that is letters B. Okay, you guys have called it, you know, I'm going with this is letter B for balance. Obviously, people say that you know, the letters only stand for what their powers could be, and people say that, oh no, there's no ranking system in terms of the Quincy's, but that's evidently a lie, because if you go on Bleach Wiki and look up any of the individual Star Knights, especially Hashwald themselves, he says he's the Grand Master of the Stern Ritters, the highest ranking out of all of them, minus Juha. So therefore the letters are not only to illustrate their powers, it's also a ranking system. It's a combination of both, so it's not one or the other, it's both. So yes, Star Knight B, Hashwald for the balance. That's what I personally think, and why he's talking about the whole scales business, because he mentioned the whole concept of scales in the case of Shunsui too. So, you know, so basically he wants the scales to tip in his favor, so he believes in balance. And obviously that's evidenced by his powers, because we saw the scales tipped when we saw when he told Kenryu that, oh, basically you're very lucky again. So it's like the scales dipped even further. So that being said, now we can see what's going on here, and the whole point of it being nighttime now, which is why I think it's very well illustrated in the beginning of the chapter, is that it would make the scales tip in the favor of the Quincy's even more. At the end of this chapter, we see Renji and Rukia jump down, well, basically arrive from their descent from the Soul Palace, and all looking epic and badass. And I thought their cloaks being somewhat white reminded, it looks like they were in captain's uniforms, obviously with the different headscarves and stuff instead. But I actually thought that was pretty cool. Nonetheless, I thought this was an amazing chapter of Bleach. What I think is going to happen next week, we saw Kangdu got slashed. I'm calling it now, Kangdu's dead. BG9 soon to follow. But we're not going to carry on from there. We're going to carry on the battlefield where the Luchador Quincy basically pile drived or body slammed Ikaku and the others, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, you more or less off screen them. Like, first off, he gives a dirty drop kick to Renji, and then now he's body slamming people. He's just taking guys out. This guy's awesome. So anyways, yeah, I think Renji's going to get his revenge here. I think this is personally Renji's fight, and Rukia's going to go off somewhere else, and hopefully she has a Bankai. It's about time that she does, her being one of the fan favourites in Japan. I don't see any reason why she wouldn't. Besides, she's a lieutenant now, so she quite evidently has the power to develop a Bankai. Doesn't mean she's mastered it, just mean that she's developed it. And I'm interested to see Renji's Bankai too, because we all know that Renji, Kubo stated that Renji's Bankai was in fact meant to change. Anyways, guys, I've rambled on enough. It's your boy Shin Megami X, aka Captain X. I'm signing out, and as always, people, take care and peace.